bathroom. Like, why would you have a giant lock on the outside of a bathroom in a basement? Who are you locking in the
Oh
bathroom?
my.
The land was perfect, literally ticked off all the boxes. We get to the attic, and the inspector, it's a crawl space attic. The inspector's in there with his flashlight, and he goes, "Oh my."
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is the Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Hello, welcome back to the Closing Table. I am your host, Kevin C. McIntosh. And joining us on this episode, we have the sweet pleasure of speaking with another top professional in her market. We want to welcome Caroline Stehle. How are you, Caroline?
I'm doing great, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us and accepting our invitation to be a guest on the Closing Table. We love to have our guests here. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, Caroline, we are here to talk about real estate, specifically in your market. I want to know everything that's going on from your perspective. Before we even step into that arena, let's know you a little bit more. So in 60 seconds or less, tell us who you are outside of real estate.
Recently, outside of real estate isn't much, but I actually have a background in medicine. I have my master's in public health, focusing on health policy. And it turns out that they don't actually like to pay you to save the world.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so after 2 years of COVID research, where I worked 60 hours a week,
Mm,
my real estate friends reached out and they were like, if you're gonna work 60 hours a week, you might as well make more money and help more people. So I jumped back into real estate and it has been a wild ride since. Like I said, I haven't had much of a life since joining back in.
mm. You said join back in. So I assume there was a chapter where you were active and then stepped away for a while and came back?
Yeah, so my mom is actually now a manager, but she's been in real estate since I was 8 years old. Before that, she did title work. So real estate's kind of just been her thing. And
Okay.
I became her assistant at the age of like 16. I was her assistant through college. I got my license after college, but I was also working full time in the medical field.
Okay.
And I did well for about a year and a half, but then I got promoted to a job where I was in the OR all the time. And you can't exactly take, my house is flooding phone calls while also trying to help an anesthesiologist stop someone from bleeding. So
Yeah.
I had to step back, and then I devoted my time to my master's program and building that career in medicine. And it just, it stopped being fruitful. I didn't feel like
Mm,
I was making a difference there, and that's important to me. And then
yeah.
the first couple of deals back in real estate, and I felt like I really helped those people. I finally felt like, maybe this was the right path all along.
Really interesting. Huh. I might want to dig more into that a little bit later on, but let's keep it moving right now. I want you to talk about your real estate business as it stands currently. Just describe it, I guess I'll say. And if you are able to hit on a few key points, how long you've been licensed, what you would consider your specialty or niche, and then any notable achievements of yours.
So my niche is actually not great right now. It is first time home buyers. I'm in that age where a lot of my friends
Mm-hmm.
and my peers would be
Yep.
looking at first time home buying, but it's not exactly affordable at this point. So I'm dealing with a lot of investors, which is okay because I also own an investing company. So I have
Mm.
connections through there. And that those are deals at like $20,000 to $60,000. But then I also have family friends and just individuals who have to sell in this tough market, usually because of more drastic things like death or divorce.
Mm. Yeah.
So those are where my big deals are coming in from. I currently have one that's under contract for roughly $1 million. And sadly, it's because the heir of the property, both of his parents died very shortly. So there's this house, and he lives more than an hour away. Um, and so he needed to get it off his shoulders. So I have these big deals, but like I said, they're usually something sad. Another one, the daughter her husband got a great job in DC. They had no choice. They needed to move. So now the
Mm-hmm.
parents are here trying to help her sell that property. And that's my other big one. So,
Right. Interesting. Got a lot of moving things going on your plate right now. But you're the
yeah.
professional, so you are built to handle it. That's interesting to hear. But first time home buyers. I forgot what you said earlier in reaction to it initially, but that's a great thing. Helping people step into their first real estate goal, first home, first property, and things like that. You gotta have a lot of pride, sense of pride in that, right?
I do. I do. And I try working with lenders that look for any type of program or grant that's available to try to make home buying more accessible.
Right.
Um, it's a lot of people don't realize that those grants are out there, especially if you're trying to live in and
Mm-hmm.
around the city.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's the first step to building generational wealth. So these
Right.
individuals whose families have been in apartments or low income housing, getting them into a house where they can actually build equity, it's so rewarding.
Life changing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd agree. You already briefly stepped on this, but I want to dig into it some more talking about price points. From your perspective, you just recently said homes are getting a little bit more expensive, outpricing for first-time home buyers a little bit. Let's describe your market, and I want to dig into that part a little bit more. Describe your market. This is a two-part question. One, geographically, go into as much detail as possible as to what your market looks like, what goes on there, the things to do, what it's known for. Paint a picture for someone who may have never been there. Then go into some of the economic data, statistics, price points, average days on market, etc.
So I have, and it's very debatable amongst agents about whether or
Mm-hmm.
not to stick to a small market or not.
Yes.
But I've grown up in Pittsburgh, and my mom was an everywhere in Pittsburgh agent. And as her assistant, I became an everywhere in Pittsburgh kind of know it all.
Mm-hmm.
So we grew up, for all of those who don't know Pittsburgh, everything's hills. We have the west side, the east hills, the north hills, the south hills, because we're all just hills with rivers
Okay.
and lots of
Yeah.
bridges. So we grew up right outside the city center in the west side. And then my mom became a manager on the east side, and I helped her over there. So we learned that market. I now live in the South Hills, and she's in the super west. So anything below the second river and to the sides, I will cover. If it's
Mm.
really far out, I find local experts to help me, but I currently have a deal out in Murraysville, which is about an hour from me on a bad day. And I just sold a house out in Beaver, which is as far west as I'm willing to go because you could throw a stone and hit Ohio. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm all over. My office though is in Shadyside, which is in the almost the heart of the city of Pittsburgh. And I'm there for two reasons.
Okay.
The manager or broker of the office is so very important. It's vital to have that in-home support. It's the person to be able to call and say, "Hey, my mom's not answering the phone, and I have no idea what I'm doing."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Shadyside has a busier market. People call Shadyside office for professional help, and the leads there are more significant. So if I'm able to get a lead that's pricier, that helps me aid my clients who are looking all over. So I have that income from the higher end individuals so that I can use it for gas money to help the lower income individuals
Yeah.
find a house.
Yeah.
So that's why I cover such a wide range because that's going to give me the ability to support what's important to me, that first time home buyer.
Yeah, yeah. I also think it's key, and I love when agents are in markets that they grew up in. Also, it's a huge advantage if you ask me. Now, you can be a real estate agent with 30 plus years, but if you move from the market that you're to another market, you're still going to have to start from ground zero, essentially. So if you're in the market that you grew up in way before you even thought about real estate, then it gives you so much more leverage because you know the ins and outs, you know the back roads, you know the good schools, the bad schools, the good areas, the bad areas, and quote unquote subjective, I should say. But you know all of this with that being your market. So I love to hear that. I've had a few agents on here from Pittsburgh, so I feel like I'm learning more and more about Pittsburgh, the city of bridges. It's no longer referenced as the Steel City anymore. Not too much. Am I hearing that right?
Not too much,
Yeah,
although it's still a synonym. But
of
yeah,
course.
if you haven't heard yet, we have actually outbeat Venice for the number of bridges. We have the most bridges in the entire world. We're
Oh,
three bridges
wow.
above Venice.
Something to be proud of, right? Let's take it. I'm not mad at it. That's something that makes me want to come and visit Pittsburgh. Because with that being said, I know it's surrounded by beautiful water. That's the only thing I would imagine.
My husband's a traffic engineer. That number of bridges actually gives him high anxiety because
I
you can't
bet.
do anything.
That's a fact. I'm the same way though. That's the same way. Okay, cool. So I want to move forward a little bit. I want to talk about the weather and different factors in that Pittsburgh area. I'm not too familiar, but I know that weather could play a role in property preferences, right? So how do you see seasonal variations affecting the real estate market in Pittsburgh, and how do you guide clients through it accordingly?
Well, a lot of people will say, and I agree, sometimes during the year you can experience all four seasons in a single day.
Yeah.
Um, Pittsburgh can be crazy with its weather, but we have had more rainy seasons as, the climate keeps changing.
Mm-hmm.
And that has seen an increase in flooding because we have these rivers, but these rivers are also fed by local creeks and streams. And so
Mm.
these properties are built on hills and they have these streams in the background. We've seen more shifting, more flooding. FEMA recently came in, I believe 2016, and reassessed a lot of zones. And now homes that weren't in flood zones are now
Oh,
in
now in
severe
flood
flood
zones.
zones.
Oh.
And people are now stuck in their homes because people
Mm-hmm.
can't afford a mortgage. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of homes I've had like that. Unfortunately, most of them end up just being rentals. People end up being landlords when they don't want to be because they can't sell their homes.
Man.
Um, so it's rough in some areas. And then, there's other places being built higher because of that, or if they're being built on the river, more engineering has to go in to try to avoid future flooding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's, like I said, it's an engineering dream here.
That is very, first of all, it sounds like Pittsburgh is almost very similar to Michigan because we can get all four seasons in a day sometimes. I promise you it feels like that. It'll start off in the winter, go into the spring, by the afternoon it's the summer, and then you go right into the fall. But it's like, it's so crazy like that. But with you saying that, I can make that connection to the two. And the flooding issues, Detroit experiences a lot of that. And I just learned about this recently about the flood zones and reassessing flood zones. I had no idea that you can go from thinking, "Hey, I purchased a home in a place in an area where there's no flooding," and then eventually 10 years, 5 years even, you can end up being in a flood zone. I had no
Mhm.
idea that they could reassess and do things like that. So it's almost like there's nothing you can do. It's just the
No,
way nature rolls out.
you can pay an assessment fee, and the last time I checked, and I could be completely lying to you at this point because it was like 2016, my
Hmm.
client had to pay, I think, $1,000 for a reassessment, but reassessment usually has a very high fail percentage. They keep
Oh,
they keep that for $1,000, it's just a lot of money just to stay in the flood zone. And most of
yeah.
my individuals are in this flood zone are already cutting down the cost to sell their house. They don't have an extra grand to throw to
Hmm.
just get the same result. So a lot of them don't even try.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I would imagine there's certain procedures and methods that you do to determine if you're in a flood zone. But besides that, I would just like wait until it rains, right? That's what I would think. But, I guess if not, I'm not a professional. So moving forward, Throughout your career, reflecting on certain situations, have you had an instance where you were on the listing side of a transaction helping a seller get rid of their home, but they had an emotional attachment to their home? Maybe they grew up in it. Maybe it was the home that they had all their kids and family memories, but it was time to let it go. Can you talk about a time you helped the client let go of their emotional attachment to their property and move forward?
I've learned that most sellers in the Pittsburgh region, we have this recent history of people needing to stay in their parents' homes because of the affordability issues. So
Mm,
there's this attachment because there was the childhood home and now it's they're living there. So there is a lot of attachment to sellers whenever they go to sell their home. I think the hardest one recently was that high-end property I spoke about out in Murraysville. My client, he lost both of his parents very, very recently in a short amount of time. And he'll probably kill me when he sees this, but um, he, that's the last thing he has of his parents. He had to clear out the house to sell it. And so all of their stuff he either put in storage or he had to sell off. And then what's left was the house. And so we did accept an offer, when it went under contract, the realization that eventually we're going to come to a point where he can't be in this house anymore.
yep.
It won't belong to him. It's the last thing with his parents. It's hard. It's really hard. And all I can do is remind him that his parents have this gorgeous house, and the profit that he's going to make on it is going to build a legacy for his kids.
There you go. There you
And I
go.
have to
That's
I it's the best thing that can come from this whole
hmm
situation.
hmm No, that was a very nice way to put it. I couldn't imagine going through something like that. And and it's not even like you are expected to be the type of person that could, you know, necessarily fix it or be his answer, but you are there to do a job and try to make that transaction as smooth as possible. But even putting certain things in perspective, like what you get from this can be an investment for you to start that same type of legacy, that same type of memory in another property for your family, your kids. So it's, oh my goodness, as you were explaining, I'm
Yeah,
crying on the
yeah.
inside. Man, that's so crazy. Okay. But you did your job from what it sounds like. So I gotta applaud you for that. Well done. Well done. And before we move forward, real quick, something is on my mind. So you mentioned this a few times about affordability in that market, the Pittsburgh market. Now I wanna kinda I guess challenge you on this because I've had a few agents as of recently from the Pittsburgh area, and they give me a little bit of information regarding average price points. Now you correct me if I'm wrong from your perspective. They're saying anywhere between 175 to about 225 average price points in homes in Pittsburgh. Would you agree? Disagree?
Mm. I guess it really depends regionally.
Mm.
So yeah, the closer we get to the outskirts of the city, so not the city
Right.
proper, not the
Right.
high-end penthouses, but the boroughs surrounding the city, I would say
Mm-hmm.
the price point right now is between 175 and 225. The
Okay.
further out we go, we're closer to the threes and then the fours,
Yeah.
and then the very outskirts, the farm areas, it goes back down.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, so we kind of work in rings around the city of Pittsburgh with
Mm.
housing. Um, but one area
Interesting.
that really comes to mind, and I grew up right around it, is McKees Rocks. So one thing making these areas less affordable is that we have a lot of investors coming into this area and buying up these houses and raising the rent. So instead of making these houses available for these low income individuals to start building their equity, instead we have them stuck in high end rentals.
Mm-hmm.
And then these investors are driving up the prices of the houses that are left, which is what makes it less affordable to live around Pittsburgh right now. We are one of the more affordable cities. The
Correct.
average housing price in PA is $464,000. So
Yeah.
we are more affordable, but we also, I think one of the other issues, and I could go for days on this, is that most of the jobs here are medical based. because we
Mm.
have medical hospitals, we
Mm-hmm.
have Pitt and CMU and all of these schools feeding the medical systems here. So a lot of people work in the medical field. But because we
Right.
have this constant flush of people coming from the schools, the medical systems are able to underpay people here
Oh, wow.
because we have such a magnitude of people who work in the medical field that it's easy to replace people.
Wow.
Um, it's just something known that we just know is here. A lot of people end up leaving for Cleveland or New York to actually make money in the medical field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My husband is a Pittsburgh traffic specialist. That was and he makes really good money. And he's very happy with what he does. So me moving to another state for a medical field that wasn't bringing me joy just didn't seem like the right option. So
Right.
that's why I went to real estate. But a lot of these people who are in the medical field, they're so underpaid. They're told, just get that side gig, just get that other job, just to make up, your pay. But dealing with the medical field is exhausting. It's
Yeah.
exhausting. Why would
Yeah.
you don't want to go and wait tables afterwards. So
Mm-mm.
they're able to keep, the a tight cap on how much people can make in the medical field here. Um,
That is
and
crazy.
yeah, yeah, and it's such a big industry here. So that's
That,
that's my view.
no, no, that brings a lot to the table because I mean, my girlfriend being a nurse here in
Hmm.
Michigan, I hear a lot about the state of the medical field, and it seems like almost anywhere else, especially here, it's a super high in demand job and position. Well, her being a nurse, yeah, specifically a nurse, it's a super high in demand. Like she could almost leave a job today and get another one tomorrow. But to hear that it's something completely different in a different market like Pittsburgh, it's mind blowing to me to hear that someone working in the medical field will have to get another job just to make ends meet and live comfortably.
Hmm.
That's insane. That's insane. But I know different markets going to have different cultures, different economics. So I mean, it's part of it. But it's very, very sad. We will hope something will get resolved there very soon. Um, I want to talk about something that I found out about you. All right, you have a list of things that you've done for your clients this year, right? Clean toilets, wash dishes, sat at a home for 2 hours waiting for a plumber, dog walked, dog sat, and more. I saw some of those things. I couldn't believe it. But could you share a memory where your willingness to assist with these unexpected challenges made a big difference in the transactions? And are there any unusual experiences you had while showing homes in that time?
Um. So, oh goodness. So I actually posted that, and my followers enjoyed it. But I put it on Howard or Real Estate Ridiculousness, and oh, the mixed reactions. There were so many people who were like, "Girl, have boundaries." But and you know what? Fair. The one with the cleaning toilets. Oh God, I was so
Ooh,
angry. That I had
ooh.
told him for weeks that we were having an open house on this day. I had reminded him the day before, and he's like, "Yeah, no, the house is clean." And I go, and his dirty underwear are on the bedroom floor, and the dishes are piled in the sink, and the toilet looked like a frat house, which, you
Oh
know,
no.
I had to play big sister for that entire deal. That one, oh, never again. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, can you repeat the question?
You got lost in that one. I get it. I get it. So basically, a memory where you basically you remember going above and beyond for these unexpected challenges in the transaction, and just asking, have you ever been in a situation where you're showing a home and it was something turned out to be funny or unexpected twist by it? It's kind of like a two-part question. So basically talking about your experience going above and beyond, and then experience with showing homes and a funny plot twist by any chance.
So I do have this tendency to go above and beyond for my clients, and that's
Yeah.
not a sales point. It's just what I do. Um, I obviously don't have boundaries. So, if like the appraiser for one of them, the
Hmm.
appraiser was gave this time window of like 6 hours, right? But she's like, I'll give you 30 minutes before I get there. Well, my client had to go to work, and she has this cute little fluffy dog, so cute. And she's like, I don't want the dog there. She's gonna freak out when the appraiser's there. I'm like, I got you. I'll go walk the dog, and I did. And
Hmm.
then another time, someone was like, uh, I don't, my dog doesn't do well in a crate. Is there any way? Because I foster dogs too. She's
Oh,
like, any way that, the dog can just stay with you for a little bit. And to be fair, that was a family member. That was
okay.
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 So the dog came and I took care of it while a plumber, oh no, inspections were going through. Um, so yeah, I'm waiting for a plumber. Just I sit in my car with my computer answering emails. It just is what it is. But no, I've had so many twists.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh has lots and lots of very old houses. Um, Squirrel Hill, most of those houses were built in the 1800s. So lots of old houses, lots of very interesting basements.
Oh, wow.
Very interesting basements. A lot of
Yeah.
them have
I hear
what
a lot of
I
stories about basements.
a lot of them have what I call murder rooms. They're
Oh my
rooms
goodness.
they're rooms that look like someone has been trapped in there, and like they have major padlocks on the outside. One was a murder bathroom. Like, why would you have a giant lock on the outside of a bathroom in a basement? Who are you locking in the
Oh
bathroom?
my goodness.
And
I,
okay, so some of them I found out because I do have a listing where there's a lock on the outside of a bedroom, and it turns out that that is usually because of dementia patients or heavy sleepwalkers. You have to lock them in, or else they'll
what?
get up and they'll walk around. So that makes me
Ah,
feel a little bit better about locks on the living floors. But yeah, those basements. I had this one that I posted that actually got really popular. It very old door. I refused to open it the first time I went. And in the middle was an add-on to the door, and it lifted up, and you could put something through, and it was right in the middle. And I thought it, but someone else put it in the post saying that's a feeding door.
oh no, that's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes. I did eventually go back whenever a client was with me. And I opened it and it was just steps up to an old cellar door, but I don't know. Those steps look new.
Oh
Mm-mm.
my goodness, that's so creepy.
It's
Listen,
so
basements,
creepy.
they always have, I feel like unless it's a finished basement, most unfinished basements have that creepy feel to it, especially at night. Or if most basements have at least one room, usually that room is scary and dark and it's like I can think back to so many homes that I stayed at with a basement, and I can always remember having that, like a room with like super a lot of cobwebs in, or just like a lot of story. Just I hate to say murder rooms. I can't believe you said that. That sounds so crazy. But yeah, when you say that, I was like, yo, it has that feel of a murder
It has
room
that
though.
feel.
That is so yeah. That's a little weird. So yeah, we'll throw that in the archive of basement stories right there. But yeah, you have definitely went above and beyond. Cleaning someone else's toilet.
I
I will
really
probably
needed
help
that
you
house to sell.
move. I will help you move a grandfather clock before I clean somebody's toilet. And grandfather clocks are heavy. That is a lot. But that goes to show that's why you're the professional and I'm not. So can I ask you about that? Did you get that home sold to the people that you showed it to that day?
Um, Actually, we worked our butts off. My husband came and helped, worked our butts off to get that house clean, and nobody showed up for that open house. But I,
Oh,
I, I had to lecture that client like he was a little brother, and
uh,
he kept the house very clean after that. And probably 2 weeks later, we got our first offer, and then 2 weeks after that, we got our offer that we signed. So it
good.
is sold. It was a very bumpy ride,
Yeah.
and glad that one's done.
Man,
That
after
mm.
I'm telling you, after cleaning his bathroom, I will tell him you got to use the bathroom outside now, man. You can't come in. You can't come inside and use this bathroom no more until the house is sold.
He told me that he was gonna move back in with his mom, and I'm like, can you do that sooner?
I know, right? He's probably so used to it that let's just drop it. Let's just move forward. Okay, Caroline, let me ask you about dealing with inspections. You're going through a process with a home, and you're like, oh, everything's going perfect. All we're waiting for is the inspection to come back with a clear to close, or whatever the case. And then you get into a situation where there's something during the inspection period that holds everything up. Can you talk about an unforeseen issue that you had to deal with during inspection and how you overcame it to still have a successful transaction?
So, I actually have two recent stories. One,
Mm.
the transaction did not end successfully, but we had a house that was practically brand new, just a couple years old, and the radon came back really high in the basement, which in in hindsight makes sense. The basement itself was newly finished, and it was very enclosed. So the high radon wasn't that surprising, but the buyers, who I did not represent, I represented the sellers, the buyers were nervous. They never had a high radon level. They didn't really understand what radon was. And I was so grateful that the buyer's agent was able to tell them, hey, if the seller puts in a system, no matter what the level is, um, the level will go down and you'll be safe. So I was very appreciative. And then my seller has also dealt with radon in his home. And so he took it very seriously. Rather than negotiating who was paying for it, he's like, I got this.
Mm.
I'll make sure the radon is okay. So that one ended up like when that radon level came back high, I was like, this deal's gonna fall through. They're gonna freak out. My seller's tight on cash. Maybe he won't be able to pay for it. And luckily, I mean, getting the radon person out there before closing has been a little, but
Mm.
overall, both parties agreed that this was something serious and we had to deal with it. So that one was great. Another one, we were doing inspections. I represented the buyer. The house seemed perfect for my first time home buyers. They expected to do some work. None of the issues that had originally come up were anything surprising. The land was perfect, literally ticked off all the boxes.
Uh-oh.
We get to the attic, and the inspector, it's a crawl space attic. The inspector's in there with his flashlight, and he goes, oh my.
Uh-oh.
My heart just like dropped.
I bet. What happened? Oh my
And
God, what
I
happened?
know this inspector very well. I've worked with him on many deals, and nothing shakes this man. And he said, oh my. So I'm like, to my buyers, I'm like, stay here. I'll go check it out.
Right,
So I
right.
went up and he was like, I'm gonna take some pictures for you. And he took pictures and there was these three major beams that were supposed to support the roof and they had been eaten away by termites.
Whoa.
So if they're in the attic, because they
Whoa,
usually
that's
they come in at
crazy.
the basement level, right? If they're in the attic and they were that bad in the attic, we have no idea the sturdiness of the walls throughout the rest of the house. And they're, like I said, first time home buyers. They were expecting to do some work, but whenever I started telling them the costs of getting a structural engineer out there, what it would cost because the walls were plastered, to get that plaster down, possibly fix the framing, I told them, I'm like, I don't see this project being in your budget. So
Mm.
after some deliberation, they decided to back out. But yeah, that one shook me and the inspector.
Yeah.
I have seen termites up to the first level eating away at the floor there. You usually just rip up the flooring, replace it after treatment.
Right.
In the attic, when you can't see what they did to the walls, ugh, termites, the silent killers.
I haven't had experience with them, but I think it's termites. I hear that even if you like go through the process of exterminating them, smoking out the home or whatever, they're still after some time they will come back. Is that
Hmm.
the case? Are you familiar? That's insane. I
And
couldn't
I mean,
imagine that.
rightfully, the pest inspectors will charge like $200 for a yearly return,
Right.
and it's
Yep.
worth it.
Yeah.
So
No,
many of
for
my
sure.
buyers are like, that's
Mm-hmm.
really costly. I'm like, you want it though, because to have it
Mm-hmm.
retreated could be another $1,000. So, you want them to be there. And yeah, my husband, he's getting into the real estate side of things. He's getting his license to help me out. And he knew about termites, but he didn't know until that house was
Yeah.
inspected. Now he's going around our house and he's like poking all the wood. He's like, "Is this termites?" I'm like, "No, that's just
Mm-hmm.
normal rot. We'll fix it eventually."
Yeah, because that would be like it would be a concern going forward, right? Because those termites
Hmm.
are in between the walls and the places that you usually can't see. So I would be on
Hmm.
the I would definitely be on edge, especially knowing that they return. Oh, that is the worst. Okay, all right.
All the way to
Well,
the attic.
yeah, it's only so much that you can do though. It was great that eh, let me speak on this. I don't want to overlook this, right? As an agent, you're supposed to do the right thing. That doesn't mean every agent does the right thing. You did the right thing by still letting your clients know that there's an issue, a major issue with this that you need to consider, even though everything else may have checked the boxes. So I got to applaud you for that also because, I mean, it seems something small like you should be doing it. It's common sense, but not all common sense is common. So I just wanted to spread that to you and say that's a job well done on your end.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I never want my clients to buy a house that they, number one, can't find equity in. So I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of um, people who come in and they're looking for the first time home and they're looking in neighborhoods. And obviously, legally, I can't say whether or not it's a good or bad school district or whether or not it's a high
Mm-hmm.
crime area.
Mm-hmm.
But I am able to state what homes have been sold for recently. And that usually equates to whether or not there's equity in the area. And that helps my people navigate, whether or not it's a good investment for that first time home. Um,
Mm.
so I never want to sell a house where my people aren't going to find the value in it later.
Right.
Because for me later, if they come back to me and I have to tell them, hey, you're upside down on your house, that's going to break my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I didn't
Mm-hmm.
lead them to something that, is helping them in the future.
Correct. Correct. Agreed. Agreed. Um, since you already talked about taking a break. You got your license in 2016. Took a slight break, then you return, and we're happy to have you back. But with that being said, thinking throughout your career, what aspects of real estate would you say you found to be the most rewarding? And also, what changes or trends in real estate have you noticed in your career?
Well, number one, this was not the best year to come back. It has,
Yeah.
and I mean, I have the tools and I'm doing really well. Um, I know what it takes to become a successful agent because I helped my mom get there.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's a level of grind you have to do. And I even
Mm-hmm.
help other agents see the level of work that they're doing now and what they could do better. So I also help agents with that. But I can be successful with this hard market. It's just not fun right now.
Right. Right.
In 2016, 2017, we were starting to actually build up to the multiple offers. So 2018 and 2019, before the pandemic, we were actually seeing this multiple offer situation a lot. I,
Mm.
luckily to me, was not in that market, but I saw it. So 2016, 2017, we were building up to that. Houses were kind of going a little quickly. We probably saw houses sit for 30 to 45 days. So if I got a listing, I wasn't worried about it not selling for a couple of months.
Right.
In this current market, I'm having a hard time predicting anything.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
have a house in Squirrel Hill that everyone told me would sell so quickly that whenever the sellers are like, we're giving you 3 months to sell it, I'm like, I got you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, I have 10 days left and there's no movement. We have lowered the price. We have done so much marketing. I have weekly open houses. I have probably spent so much on marketing that if it did sell, I probably wouldn't have much of a commission left.
Oh.
So, I have pushed that house, and even all the way up to the president of Howard Hanna, PA, has come and asked me, "What more can we do?" And I'm at a loss of words. I don't know. It's just it's
Mm.
not moving. Whereas another house that I thought would sit for a while because it's in a flood zone, it's like 5 showings a week, and we have had offers. Unfortunately, most of them are mortgages, and the mortgages aren't happy about the flood insurance. So that
Uh,
one,
uh,
that one I expected to sit, but I wasn't expecting that level of showings.
right.
So yeah, I'm having a hard time predicting anything. I've seen a lot of houses just in the past week where the prices had to be lowered. And honestly, I'm really okay with that. If the housing prices are going down just a smidge, maybe more people can enter the market with the interest rates being around 8% right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I have 2 new listings coming in, and they both asked me how long you think, it'll be on the market, and I'm like, it's it's anyone's guess right now.
Yeah.
The interest rates are playing a big role. We just recently got closer to 8, and things have come to a halt with
Yeah.
buyers. I have no
Yeah.
buyers that are like, "Let's go see this house. Let's go see this house."
Mm-hmm.
I want to go see this house right now. Um, I used to have like 5 to 6 showing appointments a week, and I haven't had one in a week because my buyers just are not eager to go out there right now.
Yeah.
Um, so with my sellers, I'm thinking 75 to 90 days
Yeah.
will be what we will need to get this house sold. Um, and with the holidays, of course, it's going to be an even longer slowdown.
Precisely.
So,
Precisely.
um, yeah, all I can do is the best I can do,
No,
and
absolutely.
I make sure to keep my people um, in communication. Make them know
Mm-hmm.
that I am pushing it as hard as I can, but this market, it's anyone's guess. Everyone keeps saying that in the spring the rates will drop, but if the rates will drop, then we're going to have more buyers, and if we have more buyers, then the prices will
Yep.
rise.
Yep.
So then I have buyers being outbid again. And
Yep.
so if right now the interest rates are 8, but the housing prices are going down, I almost want to tell my buyers, and maybe I should have that conversation, that if the housing prices are dropping right now, maybe we should be more eager. Maybe we should be out there. Because if those interest rates do come down, then we're going to have that more competition and higher prices of houses. But then if the interest rates go up even further, they'll be completely priced out of the market. And I have buyers who are in rentals right now, and they're being told that their rent's going to increase like $100 every year. So
Mm.
they're like looking at this like yearly, like, when can I stop being able to afford my apartment?
Yeah.
So
It's
I don't know.
it's a crazy time. I will
It's a
give you
crazy
that,
time.
but what I will say is, from speaking to agents in different markets across the country, I think everybody's pretty much seeing the same thing. Now, of course, different markets are going to have, smaller little intricacies that'll be different factors for that specific market, weather, et cetera, which, maybe even specifically in Pittsburgh. We're in the fall weather now. People are going back to school, routines. On top of the interest rates and a few other factors, I can understand that. I'm also hearing from other agents also. I think I just talked to an agent earlier today on the phone who said been involved in real estate 18 years, only had 3 closings this year. So I'm hearing that it's not just the buyers that are suffering. It's not just the sellers that aren't closing the deals
Oh,
on time. It's the agents who aren't necessarily getting as much activity either. So it's interesting to
I
see that from all perspectives. Please.
I'm on a lot of real estate forums, just to be able to give advice and also learn from other
Mm-hmm.
agents.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of agents I've seen posts saying, "I need another job," or "I need to
Yeah.
get out of this business. What are your suggestions? Where do people usually go next?" And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Um, I have
Yeah.
been very fortunate this year, but yeah, it's scary out there right now for
Mm-hmm.
agents. I've even talked to title insurance companies, and they're like, "Yeah, we're just really like practically begging agents to come our way," and lenders are seeing uh, less cash flow as well. So the whole market's all of us. I even have my inspectors, like I went from having 12 appointments a week to 3.
Wow. That's so crazy. Yeah, no, it's affecting everybody, and it's going all the way around. And the crazy thing about it is, most people, the average person, probably switched a career or profession from whatever they were doing to real estate to try to have that, the flexibility in the schedule and being able to make a little bit more money. Now it's like, so
A lot of us
it's
talk about
unfortunate.
how in real estate, no one, everyone in real estate has a past life. We all came from something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have yet to meet anyone that comes out of college and they're like, I'm gonna sell real estate.
Right, right. No, that's the funny thing is, I probably interviewed maybe 2 or 3, maybe just 2 agents who literally fresh out of high school went into real estate, and that more than likely came from them having a parent who was involved or someone else who kind of easily influenced and helped make that transition. But other than that, yeah, like you said, they had a past life before that. So not to dwell too much on the state of the market. It just is what it is. It's part of the
It is
cycle.
what it is.
I want to talk about something opposite of murder rooms, right? Let's talk about maybe an unconventional feature or layout in a home. Seemed weird at first, but you found some type of, you turn the look around for potential buyers to see the beauty in whatever that was in the property. So you have any instances where you saw something that seemed a little bit weird or unconventional, but then you end up bringing value to it, perspective for the buyers?
Um, Nothing really comes to mind, but I do know that almost in every house I have to upsell a Pittsburgh potty.
A Pittsburgh who?
You've never heard of the Pittsburgh potty with all of us Pittsburgh agents?
No, Pittsburgh Pilati?
Potty toilet,
Potty?
Pittsburgh potty.
Pittsburgh Potty? What?
The Pittsburgh
What
potty.
is this? What is this?
Okay. So in any house built before the 1920s, 1930s, you will find a toilet in the basement. And it doesn't have anything else around it. No walls. It's just a toilet in the basement. The Pittsburgh potty. I recently found out why those exist actually. So when we
Please.
all worked in the coal mine, well, because like I just came out of a coal mine.
Right. You did. You worked hard. Go ahead.
I worked so hard. When we of Pittsburgh came from home from the coal mines, dirty, just black with
Right.
soot, right? So they went in through the basement, cleaned up, went to the bathroom, refreshed themselves, had a change of clothes before they went into the house proper. So there's a toilet and there's usually a hookup for a shower down there.
Gotcha.
So yeah, all these houses, they have the Pittsburgh potty, and I have these out of town buyers, and they're like, "Why is this toilet sitting in the middle of the basement?"
Oh my
And
God.
I'm like, you can put a wall here and a wall here,
Right.
and you could, you could make a second bathroom, which will increase your home value.
Look at you trying to make it. All you gotta do is put up some blinders and get out of here. Look at you. I see. Hey, I see you working though. That's work right there. That's work. Caroline, let me say this. That is so fun. This is a full circle moment for me. I did have an agent on who explained to me about that time. I didn't even remember. I'm like, I can't remember what market they were from, but now that I think about it, maybe they were in Pittsburgh. This is when I asked them, what's the weirdest thing you've seen in a property? They said, yeah, it was a toilet in a basement with nothing around it. And I thought it was weird, but now that you're explaining it to me, I'm like, maybe that is a common Pittsburgh thing. And I'm so
Very
happy
common.
that you added context to it about the workers from the coal mines coming and using that. Because I just thought, I was like, yo, that is weird. But apparently, it's a little bit more common in that area than you could imagine. I had no idea. This is such it brings it full circle for me.
Yeah,
That's
with all
crazy.
those steel mills, I'm sure you've seen the pictures of
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Just like we thought that it meant that we were rich because you couldn't see in front of you in the middle of the day. But yeah, they'd come home and they're covered in everything from the steel mills and the coal mines, and just wash off before the wife makes you dinner.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. All right. So I wanna ask this before we get out of here. Any book, quote, movie, or just some type of philosophy that you've heard or you live by that changed your life or your perspective personally or professionally that you could share with us to also inspire us.
So, I had this like very cliche world life changing moment in college. I lived in London for 4 months and I
Mm.
traveled over there. And before that, I was a biochemistry major. I just assumed I'd be sitting at a bench doing experiments my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But I went over there, I lived with a family, I saw their worldviews, and I realized, and it just obviously, it's obvious now, but it was an epiphany then, that no matter where we are, where we're from, we all want the same things. We
All
want that
facts.
bit of happiness and that safety.
Yep. Yep.
Um, we want to be surrounded by people that we love, and we want to be able
Mm-hmm.
to be close to them and also have a sense of security financially or at home.
Mm-hmm.
So, whenever I came back, I tried switching my major to international policy. And then that's why I went for a master's in public health and public policy because I wanted to be able to make this this world that we live in, more equitable for everyone that lives here.
Mm.
Um, and I realized in the medical field I wasn't making that change, which is why helping these first time home buyers and focusing on these minorities that are struggling to get into a home
Mm-hmm.
has made me feel like I'm finally where I'm supposed to be. So that's my philosophy.
Good.
It's just treat everyone the way that you expect yourself to be treated
The golden rule. Come on now.
because everyone just wants the same thing out of life. They just want that
Mm-hmm.
sense of security,
Mm-hmm.
and our world is not equitable. Not everyone is born with that ability to feel that. And I would like to be a part of that building for them, getting them to that
Mm.
point. Um, So yeah, that's my personal philosophy. My husband says I have a bleeding heart, which is very fair. It's why I brought in foster dogs. I adopt everyone. Everyone becomes my best friend immediately because they all
Nice.
have a story to tell. They all
Yeah.
have this story of their struggles and their accomplishments, and I just want to be able to experience that with them. So
You know
yeah.
what? On that note, that was well said. I don't want to step on that. I'm sorry I even cut in to say the golden rule, but that was well said. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Caroline, for accepting our invitation, pulling up a chair here at the closing table. At this point, if you have any last words and or want to tell people how to reach out to you, the floor is yours.
I have one question for you, Kevin. One question.
Please, please.
Where are you that has that gorgeous brick wall behind you? And also, was it painted white?
Yeah, that's the first person to ask the question on the show. Yes, beautiful setup that we have here in the studio. Our director Dean, he's responsible for setting up this beautiful aesthetic that you see. But yes, beautiful brick wall. He had the idea of providing a light so that it shows the context of the wall. I don't know what word he used. He's so smart, but yes, it's our director, our production director Dean. I gotta shout him out. He put this look together for us. I'll
I'm
pass the
a,
compliment forward.
I'm a sucker for exposed brick, and so many of these old houses have it. So
Mm,
yeah. I have a
nice.
1993 townhouse, and I'm like, can we just pretend that there's a brick wall here and let's just make it look real old? My husband is not for it. He's not for it. No, I'm Caroline Stehle. Sometimes I put Check in there to help people recognize that I come from this legacy of real estate family. So
Mm.
Caroline Check Staley. It's too much. It's why I changed my last name to Staley. You can find me at the Howard Hanna Shady Side office on Baum Boulevard, or as I am right now, the West Suburban office out in Moon. Um, my phone number is literally plastered all over the internet. I would love for you to call me and not be a scam call. That'd be great.
I know, right? Well,
I
thank you again. Go ahead. You had some more.
Yeah, I you can find me on the internet, carolinestaley.howardhanna.com. Hannah does not have an H at the end. And
Mm.
I would be honored to work with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you again. Thank you again. Make sure you contact Caroline if you do want to talk to her about some real estate business. And if you've gotten to this point in the video, do us both the favor and hit that like button, please. And thank you. Make sure you also subscribe and share the content, please and thank you. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, give us a 5-star rating, and subscribe for our latest content. Hey, I'm going to leave our audience with a question on the way out to get their brains turning. So this is for you, audience. What weather factors do you like or dislike about where you currently live? Don't tell us now. Leave it in the comments below. Besides that, we'll talk to you next time.